I'm Coach Dave. Welcome back to Coach's Corner.
Come on.
Welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm Dave McDonough, coach at Champs Boxing, host of the Coach's Corner podcast. We appreciate everybody for subscribing, liking, and commenting. As we round out the year of 2024, we have a gentleman that is not only a fighter, a coach, gym owner, Ryan Diaz, welcome,
yes, sir.
from
Thank
Portchester, New York, owner of Diaz Boxing Club, professional fighter. What's your record now? 2-0 or
1-0?
1-0.
Yeah.
Big amateur background. And we welcome you to Coach's Corner. Appreciate it. You know, Ryan and myself had met through social media and then being in the area as a coach. And he has built a really, really good gym back in a city that there were boxing gyms. You know, I started boxing in Portchester with Jimmy Santangelo at Don Bosco Center, right? That was one of my original trainers. And you have put it back on the map, and watching you evolve as a coach is really, really impressive because I know you, and I know your passion for the sport, and you're a teacher of the game, and you're definitely a student of the game also. So I really appreciate you coming out today and catching up here. Tell us what's going on with you now, Ryan, as the year finishes out for you.
Just staying busy. I try to get some new stuff, get the gym renovated so that things are like fresh. It's a clean slate for the new year.
Yeah. How long have you been there now?
Been in business now going on 5 years, but I've been in this location now 3 almost. Yeah.
So you started in North Carolina. Is that where you had your first? Where did you start?
I started on South Main Street in Portchester.
Okay.
I had a small spot, 10-foot ring. It was I had been saving up with the thought in mind, and then I just happened to drive across this rundown spot for lease.
Yeah.
And at first sight, you're probably like, that looks like a shithole. But when you have a vision, I was able to kind of I just saw it. I was like, oh, this would be fucking perfect. You got the train flying by across the street.
Yeah.
It's not it's like a gritty looking block.
Yeah, you got to have a little gritty in boxing. You can't have that too much with a bougie place where, Yeah.
We got that perfect little balance.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of money saved up. I think I had like 10, 12 grand saved up, and I just threw it in and did it.
Yeah.
I was working out of different clubs, and I kind of took a little bit of what I wanted from each, and then I said I was going to go ahead and do my own thing. I enjoyed doing it. I was learning. And
so let's backtrack here a little bit. You know, everybody's got a story of boxing, and, I go with how boxing finds us, right? We're not out one day looking for boxing kind of finds us.
Yeah.
And in this sport. And how did it find you? Where was your starting point? I never had this discussion with you.
Yeah.
So where was your starting point for boxing?
I think, honestly, even from when I was a kid, I didn't actually start competing until, I didn't have my first fight until I was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the only sport I ever really watched and was into growing up and still to this day was boxing. And I was getting ready to join the service, and I started training at some gym. It was like a random gym. They had Muay Thai, boxing, the whole shebang, whatever. And immediately the coach is like, yo, your stance, your everything is very similar to boxing. Have you boxed before? And I was like, just fighting in the damn, growing up. But there was a competition coming up. I was telling myself, I'm like, dude, if you don't have the balls to get in the ring and fight somebody, how are you gonna be serving this country at the time and dodging bullets if you don't got the whatever to step in the ring and throw hands with somebody? So I signed myself up, and 2 weeks later I was fighting in my first fight. No coach, no nothing. They wrapped you up at the thing. And I knocked the first guy out the first night, and I was on a crazy high. I was thought I was the man. And the second night, I ended up losing, and then I was just like, whatever with it. I was like, I did it, you
Right.
know. And then I was focused on that. But when I got out the service 3-4 years later, I end up in Westchester somehow.
Did you
And-
fight in the service?
No. I kind of just focused on that while I was in. I watched boxing and all that stuff.
Thank
but I
you for your
didn't jump
service, by the
into
way.
it.
Also, we appreciate that for our country. But
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, back in the day, we had great boxing throughout the armed forces.
Yeah. I didn't even get the chance or really see that in there. But
Right.
when I did jump back into boxing later on, in North Carolina, I was fighting a lot of the Marines. They have like their own teams out there. and stuff,
Yeah,
so
the
they
Marine,
always
they
compete.
all have. I've come across a couple of guys that have fought in the service, and you know, I don't know if you've worked with the team from West Point with any of your amateurs.
I think I fought some when I fought in the Golden Gloves in Connecticut.
Yeah, I
once.
mean, we used to go to West Point with you know, Coach Ray Barone at the time. He's an advisor there now. He's not the head coach, and
Short guy?
no, big guy. That's the coach now. Is the shorter guy?
yeah.
I can't think of his name. I don't want to call him short guy, but you know, prior to COVID, we were allowed to go up there. You know what I mean? And I think you could still, if you talk to the coach, great experience because at the military academy, you have to box. You don't have to compete, but you have to box.
No,
Male
yeah,
and
it's
female.
good.
And the facility, right? It has a male side. When we went up there to spar, I brought a pro up there to spar a couple of their guys. The women had their own side. There were like 80 women,
Boxing.
training.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I don't know who was competing, but it was impressive to see.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of women now I work with, but none of them really have the whatever to compete. And honestly, I don't even, like, at the beginning, I wanted, like, a lot of fighters and whatnot, but now I don't force it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. Even me, each fight, no matter how many fights you do, I feel like there's always that,
You know, you're wearing
That pressure
you're
on
wearing a lot of hats there, right? So
Yeah.
you're still fighting, which we're going to get to, right? You're training and you're running a business, right?
Yeah.
Plus, you're a family guy.
yeah.
You have a few
yeah.
kids.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, so you know what? You got a lot of hats you're wearing right off the rip. See, I know what you're saying. When you're working with fighters, that focus is there. I mean, guys who are going to fight, whether they're amateurs or they're pros, and you're getting them ready for the fights, that's your focus because it's almost every day. It's an everyday. It's not almost every day. It's every day, right?
Yeah.
So unless you're in the gym, but you got to run your business. So your business has got to run,
Yeah, we gotta
and you're
make money.
training, and you know, it takes a lot. But so you're back in Westchester after the military.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the movement now? Are you back in the amateur game? Or are you looking to?
I actually opened up my gym before I got back in because right when I opened up, 2-3 months later, I think the COVID BS
Yeah.
started and whatnot. So there was no fights going on. But I was training with that, knowing that I was getting back into it. Because
Right.
another big reason, not only because I want to do it just to get better and whatnot, I was like trying to become better so I can like deal with fighters and be able to offer them more, like from real experience.
Yeah.
And so I jumped back in, and I didn't get to do it until I opened up the club in North Carolina. So we made a good bit of money in Portchester
Yeah.
that first year, even through COVID. And me having so many kids, I thought that us going down to Carolina was probably a better bet because you get more bang for your buck and whatnot. So I splurged with the money I made, and I made my gym beautiful out there. I had like a 2,500 square foot gym, 20-foot ring. I made it like,
Yeah.
and I think I put too much in too fast, not realizing it's slower out there, and it just didn't come back too quick.
Yeah.
And before I was gonna lose everything, I was like, let me just try this again back home where I know
Yeah.
the people, because the town kind of has a love for boxing. They all kind of know me. And it worked out. I ended up coming back with a little bit I had left. I reopened, and even when I was coming up slapping Diaz Boxing Club little stickers throughout town and stuff, I was running into old clients. And it was cool to see how like loyal they were. And they were like, "You're back?
Yeah.
I want to get my son, or I want to get back in, train with you, whatever." And then I just hit it running from there.
Yeah, I mean, that says a lot. for you as a trainer when you start to hear the response from the people that you work with. You hear it from, because look, in our sport, it's hard to find. I shouldn't say it's hard. There's a lot of good trainers out there. You just got to find the fit, and everybody's got to have a fit. Like, that's my thing with fighters or clients. It's like, look, I might not be a fit for everybody. Yeah. Doesn't make you a bad trainer, right? It's just that you got to click with that person. If you're personally training, if you're taking someone to a fight, you got to be able to click. That person's got to trust you with what you say and what you do, and you got to know the ins and outs of that. So, yeah, that's big right there. And, Portchester, again, there were fights over there in the Capitol Theater back in the day. Yeah. So let's go fought back there in the Capitol Theater, not too far from where you train right there. There was a lot of fights there. Don Bosco had a good program at the time, amateurs. So you're in a good base, still close to the city, around a lot of other gyms that you can build off. But you're also training yourself.
Yeah.
How's that work out for you? So walk me through. You took your first bout a couple months ago, correct? Mm-hmm. And you fought on a card in North Carolina.
Nashville.
I'm sorry, Nashville. Yeah, that's what I was. Tennis. But how was the preparation and camp for that fight for you?
I was super excited to finally get my pro debut.
Right.
Because it's been something I was been wanting to do for a while now. But I was waiting for the right time. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to overdo myself in the amateurs. Because, some guys, they'll do
how many amateur
so
fights
many
you have?
fights. I think a little over 30.
Yeah, that's a sweet spot. I'm good with that. I don't think, if you're fighting at the national level, going towards one of the national teams, I think okay.
Yeah.
To have that many fights. But if you're looking to turn it, 30 to 50, I think is a sweet spot for amateur fights.
And I'm not super young. I just turned 30 last week. So I'm ready to hit this thing. I did a good bit of fights. Yeah. I spar with everybody. I tried to fight everyone I could without no ducking nobody, no nothing. And so my biggest thing was finding a reliable team, because in the amateurs I was really, not to take away from how anybody helped me, but I was kind of training myself for the most of it.
Yeah.
That
gets you so far.
I meet with one of the coaches I was working with maybe once a week, stuff like that. But I don't want to go into a pro fight or start my pro career doing that still. So I talked to Ryan O'Leary from Champs Boxing Club in Neuro.
Great guy.
And he welcomed me in. And he thought that it was going to be a good move for me too, because he said that my style suits the pros a little better, and that, and they just been there. He's there every day. The guy lives in that gym.
Yeah.
They got sparring for me, so I'm not having to search for that myself all the time. Sometimes we branch out.
What'd you fight at? 70?
75, yeah. And that was the main thing, just finding that reliable. And I don't expect
the consistency. You need, as you're preparing, for a fight, you need consistency. So how long was your camp? Was it an 8-week, 10-week, shorter?
I think it was 8 weeks. I was training there for a while, but then when we finally got something, I was under the Christy Martin, Jimmy Adams. They kind of worked together for that. And, they found me an opponent, and I was locked in. I was ready, and I was training and just excited to do this. But the nerves still hit. They didn't hit me until,
after the weigh-in?
Fight day.
Or
maybe the day of the weigh-ins, too. Because I was you just don't know what to expect. And, of course, the guy I was fighting was nuts. So he was talking shit at the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to do too much but too little. Make it fun,
Yeah. Nah, listen, you know what? You got to go with your own thing. Some of these guys, they're out there a little bit like that. You got to prepare your way and what works for you. And, so you fought a four-rounder. What was it like fight night? After Ryan, good. Was Ryan cracking jokes, wrapping your hands, or was he being serious?
A little bit. Ryan could sense where I was at mentally. And he was like, you're good, man. You're going to knock this guy the fuck out.
Yeah.
He basically just told me, just the little tips, this kid's probably going to come in crazy. Just keep your hands up and don't get caught with nothing silly.
Don't fall asleep out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got him out in the first round, and I had 20 people fly out to come see me fight.
Nice.
From New York. So that was cool.
He runs a good venue. I haven't been there. I've heard of fighters that fought on Jimmy's cards down there. He runs it, and I speak to him every once in a while. He'll drop me some stuff, but I don't have anybody that's heading that way right now. But I've heard it's a really nice venue.
Yeah, it's cool, and the city's cool too.
Yeah,
so
Nashville's
you can
nice.
Explore a little bit.
Yeah,
Stuff
not
like
too
that.
bad. Cheap flight.
Yeah. The flight was cheap. All that stuff kind of came together, and
Yeah.
it was fun. I'm excited to be back there.
All right. So when are we going to see you back again? What's the next
February
one?
4th, I'm fighting again.
All
I had
right.
my second pro fight, and we're fighting a guy with a little bit more experience in the pros.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's 4-2 or 3-2. And we're fighting at 185. He's a cruiserweight, walks around at 200.
Right.
Fought his last couple fights at 200, and we thought it was a good move, and we're going with it.
What's the plan?
Taking it to him.
You're going up in weight? What's
yeah,
the
I mean,
plan?
I kind of naturally walk around about almost 200 pounds, even though I don't look it.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, we're just gonna go up a little bit.
But you're
and-
talking about a guy who's coming down the cruiser who's probably walking at 215.
Yeah,
Depending
yeah.
on how big he is, and he's comfortable fighting like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of weaknesses I see in his
Yeah.
game.
So have you really officially started camp, or you just kind of
yeah, we're going. I was training previously because I thought I was gonna fight sooner,
right?
so it's like an extension of it. Be a longer camp, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Because I'm always training because it just keeps me.
yeah. It keeps
kinda
you.
mentally
It keeps you there. Who you been
together.
sparring with?
My main sparring partners have been in champs, Kyle McGrath and Harley something. I forgot his last name.
Holly Burke.
Yeah, he's another.
That's
175
Ryan's guy.
pound Pro,
Yeah.
I think he's 10-0 now.
Is he?
Yeah, he just fought again. I think in Long Island a few weeks ago. I don't know what card it was.
Probably Joe's card.
Yeah.
The Guardias.
And the other guy,
Star
Kyle,
boxer.
he's another one. He's skilled. They're both tall too. They're both
Right.
because I'm short for that weight class.
Yeah.
All these guys are slim and tall. So
You working with anybody heavier?
sometimes I'll even spar the guys in my gym, the heavyweights and different. Even if it's just to work on different things.
Yeah.
It doesn't really bother me. I think what bothers me more is sparring the lighter guys because I always have a little trouble with those
With the
guys
mo-
that are just
with-
throwing
with
so
the
many
movement?
punches. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not your style.
Nah.
What would you break your style down as a fighter? How do you break yourself down? If you were to
I think
assess
I'm like-
yourself,
Somewhat of a pressure fighter, but counter puncher. Like I'm good at timing people, and I kind of try to catch them in between punches. But I do better when I'm going forward at guys rather than moving around so much and trying to do the.
I mean,
dance.
going up in weight now to fight a bigger opponent. What's your game plan?
I think to use my my speed, my reactiveness, because
Yeah.
the way I've seen this guy box, it's a little sloppy, and from the videos it looks slow.
Okay.
So I feel like I'll be able to kind of beat him to the punch with a lot of things, and then hopefully put them together and get him out of there. But if not, box and move and just win the fight, own each round, and try and take it to him and not get caught with nothing
Yeah.
silly.
So, with all of this going on now, and how do you balance everything out? I mean, you're a father, businessman, you're a fighter. How are you balancing a day out here? Because look, everybody doesn't realize, like, it's like, okay, everybody, oh, you're a fighter. Yeah, but most of the fighters work.
Don't got all this
They
shit
work.
going on, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's the small percentage of the guys that are making their living at fighting and making a lot of money where they have whatever.
Yeah. I think
But-
that's why they say it's a young man sport, because the young man typically don't have the kids, the this, the that, the bills, and whatever going on. But honestly, if I didn't have the boxing stuff going on, I'd probably be even more fucked up.
Yeah.
Because with all the stuff I got going on, this at least kind of can.
So how do you manage to train yourself? How do you manage to find time? Are you training early in the day? You're training late?
I try to knock all my shit out early. So I'm like busy in the morning.
Yeah.
But whenever I have that like hour or 2 hour gap between people, I'll jump over to champs, knock that out for hour and a half. Then I come back. 3 days a week I have like a certain time I go and train with a strength coach. And then I'm in Lifetime usually midday or the evening when it's dead or when the gym closes. I'll go get my run done, my swim, sauna. So I'm doing a lot. I'm kind of just like gym to gym, I feel like, when it comes to the training.
Yeah.
If I don't have time to go to champs certain days, I'll train in my own gym or train with my class, my guys.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of works itself out. I feel like I've been training like somebody who's fighting for a damn world title since the amateurs, because
Yeah, you're a hardworking guy.
be.
I've talked to you. I've seen you. I've watched you throughout. You know, you're not going to be unprepared. There's no question about that. You're going to be prepared. And
I always try and give them all.
You're always in perpetual movement of whether you're training clients or training yourself. So, I mean, now I think, look, you got a good team. Excuse me. Now it's about polishing your skills.
Yeah.
You know, because the pro game is just a tactical game.
Smart.
You know what I mean? And then
sound.
putting your skills together to expose your opponent's weaknesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about your program down there at Diaz Boxing.
Mm-hmm.
How did the original Diaz Boxing come, and let's talk about where you are today, because I've watched your progression.
Yeah.
I mean, in Portchester now, you're running classes. You're pretty packed up over there. You got a good following of kids, adults and women coming in there.
Yeah.
So tell us when you put this all together, do you envision where you're going to be today with Diaz Boxing? And you're still growing. I'm not saying that, this is...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the classes, I remember when I first opened, I said I would never do classes because I thought they weren't, like, beneficial. It's just a bunch of people slapping bags and whatnot. But I managed to...
Because you are like every other fighter or boxer who thinks that a boxing gym could just stand on its own in boxing. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. Okay, it's not a business. Most guys who start a boxing gym who are boxers, I don't want classes. I don't want this. I want fighters. But fighters don't pay the bills all the time.
No. But the classes can be beneficial if you're running it right.
I think so.
Like, all my people, for the most part, look fundamentally sound if they've been with us for a little bit.
Right.
So we managed to get the message across in teaching. Because, I mean, the class, the max we take is like 20, 25 people in a class.
That's a lot of people.
But
how
if
many
you
people
really know
are
how
teaching
to,
the class with you?
Just me. If like whoever that coach is teaching that night, it's just them. But we can kind of see the room and just throw little jabs at you, like where it's like, yo, pick the hook up or stop dropping the hand. Like little things or basic stuff. And if you just say it enough, it gets tiring as, anything. But
you know what?
It helps, and they start to kind of pick up and see. And you could see who's new, who's been there a little bit.
People don't realize in the beginning of boxing, it's very mundane and repetitive and tedious to people, okay? Because you have to start the base. You have to start, if you're running a good program and you're a good coach, you're going to start the base, right? You're going to teach them the fundamentals of boxing, how to stand, how to throw a punch, how to move, before they do anything else. Everybody looks and sees pad work all over the place. They don't realize what it takes for somebody to get like that, right? And look, as a coach, you can choreograph anybody. I can make my kids look great on pads. Let me work with them for a couple of days or a couple hours, and I can choreograph it and make them look great like they've been training for years, right? But that's not boxing. Boxing is very, very, and that's what I tell people too, okay? It's like you come in and I'm like, listen, you played another sport. You might have been successful. That's great. Don't think that you're going to be as successful right away because you're going to let yourself down. Okay, but if I don't build the base, how can I teach you to throw punches on the bag if I can't teach you to throw punches and walk right off the rip? So, I watch some of your stuff on Instagram. I like the way you instruct because there is a structure to it. There's a structure, and I think, like us, you're building a culture of, like when someone comes from your gym, where'd you guys train? Trained at Diaz Boxing. Okay. Like you already know how long you been there? Well, I've been there for whatever, long time. You already know that kid's fundamentally sound somehow. Right? Whether you're there or not with him, right? So I like that. But so now, what do you operate there, time-wise?
We're the busiest in the evening. That's when we do most of our classes. A couple days out the week, I'll do a 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And in the mornings, I'm typically just there for like private training. So people that, let's say, can't come or would rather have more personal,
personal
whatever,
stuff, right?
Yeah, they set up appointments, and I try to knock that out anywhere from 6 to like 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'm done. Then I can kind of, usually that time I'll find a gap to go do my own training. And the middays I try to come back and be around my kids and make sure my woman is good, all the shit, because they'll drive her crazy too. So I got to kind of.
Yeah, you got to balance out your life. I know the whole thing.
Yeah.
What do you see is now is like you have a lot of young kids coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have anybody competing right now out of there? Has it got to that point for you yet?
Kids, no. I have like 1 or 2 adults or fighters competing. One of them just got injured though, but it's been quiet lately. But this coming year, I'm going to be focusing a lot more on the kids. The adults too, if they want to fight, I'll put them in a fight. But I want to kind of dedicate a little more to getting these kids fights, because I got a lot of these neighborhood kids that come to my gym from Portchester. They got nothing else to do. Like last night, I looked back at the cameras. It was 10 p.m. and all these kids are still in the gym fooling around, hitting the bags and stuff. And I'm like, and they're getting good. I have kids that come in, they're wearing like sloppy jeans, looking crazy. To 6 months, a year later, these guys are able to really do some damage.
Yeah, it's you know what, we have similar where we see kids coming in and look, boxing kind of weeds you out. Some stay, some go, some come, whatever. But the ones that stick it out and really want to get instructed can definitely be beneficial.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it goes again, like your area is there. It could be
Huge.
A little hotbed over there of talent, because still you are on the New York side, but you're also on the Connecticut border right there. So there is a diversity of, towns that you could pull people in and definitely go over there. Who do you got coaching with you over there now?
I have one of my fighters. He teaches 1 night a week, helps me out. And one of my guys I used to work with when I used to coach at a gym in Greenwich.
Yeah.
His name's Coach Carl, or they call him Cal the Artist. He's another one. Me and Steven are similar, I think, in our training styles.
Right.
But the other one, Cal, is a little more like slowed down, really like extra breaks things down. So I think it's good to have that little mix. Sometimes, instead of
I think
our style, I think it's good for these. It's something different.
Yeah,
throughout the
I mean,
week.
look, we're the same. We have a lot of different coaches with different styles and everything else. I think where it comes together is that when you get a fighter prepared for a fight, the styles have to mesh into the fighter.
Yeah,
Like it's all about the fighter at that point. But in gyms, it's different styles that being
Sometimes.
able to work, and everybody's different. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? Years ago there were different theories of what trainers taught, a certain way of training. Okay. Boxing really hasn't changed that much. The jab is the jab, the footwork is the footwork. The only thing in boxing that's really changed is the athletic ability and strength and conditioning of these fighters.
yeah,
The fundamentals haven't changed, right? You can look back 100 years. They throw the jab the same way, right? They throw the right hand the same way. They make footwork the same way. The hook is thrown the same way. Is there variations of it? Yes, there's variations of it. But the basics are the basics, right? So I think you can't have one style of coaching. Because, look, you're a fighter and you're a coach, right? So you got a different style. That coach has got to be able to kind of look at your style and say, okay, how am I going to coach him? How am I going to train him?
yeah.
What am I going to work on with him, or what am I going to polish on him? What am I going to do with him? All right? And then the other factor is I have a certain style that I prefer, that I like fighters. I like aggressive fighters who fight in. It doesn't always work.
Yeah, depending on that guy.
It might not work with a fighter. So then I have to adjust as a coach, because I'm not going to sit there and put a square peg in a round hole, and it's not going to work. We could sit there all day long if that fighter doesn't want to adapt or come in. But what do you think now as a coach? What kind of culture are you looking to build as a coach and a gym owner here in boxing going forward for the future, as you know, our sport is questioned at time by people that it's dangerous, it's dying, it's not good sport. You know, I have my feelings. What are you seeing now with these young kids coming in there? What is there, you know, you look, and everybody says, oh, I want to box. That's the first thing. I want to box. When can I spar? When can I hip? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody, but, you know, we know the reality. Mm-hmm. So what is the culture that you're seeing in your gym with these young kids and parents coming into you and saying, hey, Ryan, I want to put my kid in a program. I want to get them, you know, disciplined or in shape or whatever their why is.
I think I just want to make it easier for them by building them up. I think the boxing is a tool to kind of build that confidence, you know, walk around, be able to speak better, you know, just overall as a man or woman. I think it helps a lot of these kids because I see them come in and they're some of them that maybe don't talk much or seem a little like shy or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even if they're crazy, kind of can humble and tame you down some.
Yeah.
It kind of reached everybody a little differently as far as the kids and even the adults. You got people dealing with whatever the hell they're dealing with. We all got different stuff going on.
Yeah, 100%.
It's an outlet, and on top of that, as far as the fighters, I just want to kind of build guys up. Like I'd like to have. That's another reason why I want to work with the youth now is I want to see the ones that stick and actually really want to do this because they seem like I have some hungry guys in the gym.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm going to give them what they want going into the new year and see if. You know, it's really for them. If it's not, it's not. At least you got to say, you know, you did a couple fights, whatever. But, you know, at least you can kind of experience it, and it's a good. You know, I wish this was something I had when I was a teenager.
Listen, I mean,
close
you know,
by.
for me, I'm an advocate of whether you're going to fight competitively, and for the lucky ones who maybe get the chance to do it professionally.
Yeah.
Right. Because you know, as coaches, if you get to coach a professional. That's like the pinnacle of the sport to me. That's a cherry on the cake, right? Because, you know, you're lucky enough to prepare someone to take somebody into a pro bout. The younger kids and even some adults and women who I've trained that to prepare them for a fight, like I say to them, and you know this as a fighter and a coach, what you're doing is not easy. It's not baseball. It's not basketball. It's not football. Whether you're fighting an amateur fight, a white-collar show, or you're even sparring in the gym, to get in that ring is a preparation. It takes a lot to get there for your coach to put you there.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, you know, you got to walk away with something. And I think for a kid, because every kid's not going to be competitive, but if you can put him in the ring, he has to find himself. Even if he's not the most talented fighter, the most talented or athletic kid out there, it's not a sport where you hide him in left field, you put him at the end of the bench, put him out there for a minute, bring him back out.
No, you got to figure that shit out.
He's got a minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes that he's got to find himself.
Yeah.
And I think we're losing that today with kids. Kids are not accountable. Kids give up too fast.
Nah, I've seen that too, even in my gym. With guys that I was like, oh, this guy's going to be nice, like, whatever. And then, like, 2 months later, I see them slacking off. They're barely coming now. And I'm like, damn. Because I'm like, all this damn work. His kid's been here, like, 2 years.
Yeah, it's a tease. But see,
now he's gone.
Okay, that goes back to you don't know what the heck's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't know what that, you know, some kids are going to come in, right? Man, you're excited. You're ready to go. And then you don't really know what they're doing. You know, are they running around on the street? Are there issues at the house? Do they got to work? Are they going to school?
Yeah.
Are they not confident in what they're doing? Mm-hmm. Because our sport gets real when you're in there with somebody.
Yeah, this time.
It doesn't get real when you're working with the coach hitting the bag and hitting the pads. It gets real when you put them in the ring. Some kids react. Some fighters react better under the lights. They react better when people are watching. I've watched some kids when you put them in the ring and everybody's watching and they just digress because they just, whatever reason, maybe, you know, they're not used to that, or they feel that they're not good enough, or if something happens, they just crumble.
Just that mental doubt if something happens.
Yeah,
there,
and you know what? And this goes back to boxing itself, right? Forget about getting in the ring part, right? Because I'm sure you don't just throw everybody into sparring after being with you for a couple of weeks, say, okay, you're going to spar.
No.
You got to really see something in a kid before you say, hey, we might. And then you might go in with them yourself and just move them around and feel, kind of let them get used to the water, right? The temperature of the water. But, you know, we got to work a kid up, you know. Look, you got to learn to jump rope. You got to shadow box. You got to learn to hit the bag.
Yeah.
You got to learn to speed bag. You got to be in shape. There's a lot of factors that go into the fact before we even thinking about letting you throw a punch at somebody. And after we do that, not necessarily going to see success with that kid.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how he's going to react. He might take to it like a duck takes to water, or he might just say, no, this is not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like, too, is like, let's say I'm teaching a class and I'm telling these guys, and whether it's experienced guys or fucking new guys, I'm like, just working the jab, placing it up and down and move your feet. And not even a minute in, and they're freaking throwing bombs. And I'm like, bro,
yeah, but
this isn't what I told you to do. Like, you want to get better at these things, you got to practice these things.
But does that go, and look, you're younger than me, right? Is that a generational thing now? Because look, for me growing up, I wasn't able to go to a phone and look at 20 different fighters that night. What are they doing? Or pull up a YouTube account of an instruction of, Freddie Roach instructing how to hit and do the.
Yeah.
So like, I was that guy. If the coach told you to throw 50 jabs, you threw 50 jabs,
yeah.
right? I didn't tell the coach, hey, I'm going to throw the right hand with it. No, you're going to throw the jab, right? Today, and I see it, I don't know about your gym, but I see it, guys come in and they want to tell the coaches what to do.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's another big no-no.
Like, I saw it. What if I do this way? Did I ask you to do it that way? You've been in the gym for 2 weeks. All of a sudden, you're
a pro, you know.
You're Ryan Garcia. You're doing stuff. Well, what but those guys train.
Or they'll send me links and be like, I want to work on this next time I come in. I'm like, dude, come on. We got a long way to go before you even get to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's just, it's challenging. I'm sure your area is a little diverse like Danbury. There's got to be challenges coaching the kids down there.
Yeah.
Because you get a wide group. And you have
the kids honestly listen better than the adults. The adults sometimes are more
all over the place
now, yeah. But the kids in Portchester, at least, I know it was different when I was in Carolina. When I was working with kids there, it was hard because they were all like a little like, I don't know if it's the air or the way the kids grow up out there, just like lost.
Yeah. But
at least the kids here in New York, Portchester, they're like, boom. And at least the ones that have been coming through my door, they've been pretty tough. So I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but I'm gonna put some work in. Hopefully, they show out because they're onto something. It seems like.
Yeah, well, you got to test it by what you're building there. If you're building a culture,
yeah,
sort of like us, you're starting. Your name is established in the tri-state area. People know you in the gyms. You're established outside the area also, but we go by here. You have a very good reputation as far as what you're doing over there and what you bring to the table, not only personally as a fighter, but now as a coach. I mean, it takes time to build a culture.
Yeah.
Look, when we started at Champs, I was there, when AJ started the gym, the first couple of years, there was nobody.
Yeah, right.
There was nobody. I mean, it was literally like, we had a couple of guys, the local guys and everything, Omar, Ali, Finelli Jr., a couple other guys started coming in. But, once we started getting guys coming from other areas coming in, that's when it really started to take off.
Yeah.
That's when people started to see, and then, I remember the first Golden Gloves, it was just Finelli Jr. who went. And then 3 years later, we had a team of 7.
Yeah.
And then,
just
now,
like that.
And now
changes.
now you got guys, and it's like, okay. But, at that point, we're like, listen, this is not a free ride. You got to be in the gym. I mean, don't come here the week before and say, "Oh, I'm signing." No. If you're not training, because we don't want to look. We don't care what the outcome is, but we want to look prepared.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
I don't want to be on.
half-assed.
Listen, we're going to go in there prepared, and we're going to be ready. What happens in a fight happens in a fight. You win, you lose. It's all part. We can't control that.
Yeah.
We can control how we get ready. We can control if a kid's in shape. We can control if a kid's on point with weight. And you have to have that accountability. It's like, look, if you're gonna decide to fight a fight, whether it's amateurs, Golden Gloves, Ringmasters, Metros, whatever it is, there's a requirement and an accountability for you to do it. I'm not saying, look, this is what it is. We're not going to prepare in 2 weeks and get you ready and think you're going to go to a show and you're going to do something. No, it's not going to happen like that.
Anytime that I've had any little slip-ups in a camp, whether it was amateur fight or this, whatever, it just brings more doubts to you. Oh man, that one day that I screwed up and had a drink or two, or whatever. So I tried to stay away from all that because those little hiccups are little small. It's all right, failure. You don't want to have any those stacking up.
This sport is a unique sport, okay, and it will find you, it will knock you down, it'll make you hate it, it'll make you want to quit, but it will also bring you back that you can't get enough of it. You want more of it, okay? It's a passion, okay? Teaching and coaching and training is a passion. But if you cheat it, it'll expose you.
Yeah, you're going to pay for it.
Whether you think so or not, because everybody's theory is, look, and I've had fighters live with me during camp, and one in particular, and what Gareth will tell you from Farmer Strength, because he stayed with me too during camp, and we had this fighter crying at the end of camp. But we take their phone the last couple of weeks, and it's, dude, hey, this is the life this is the life you chose. I didn't say, I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to say, look, this is what we need to do to be successful. You don't need to be on your phone looking at video, taking texts in the middle of the night. You can have your phone during the day, whatever it is. I know you got to talk to your family. I get that.
Yeah.
But after that nighttime, it's done, bro. You're up in the morning, and there's no excuses as we get closer to the fight.
Yeah.
But, that's where you see, and then you see fighters break down. But you know what? At the end of the day, they come back, and it's like, yeah, I was different for that camp, or I was different from this camp. And, for me, as a coach, I don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
I don't, I have my own style and what I do. Is it right for everybody? Probably not, but I'm not taking it lightly.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm
not taking it lightly because I can't take a kid to a fight and have him not be prepared, or a man or a woman or whatever it is, whether it's an amateur or a pro, it doesn't matter. We train our amateurs, and I train my white-collar people or whoever it is, whatever bout, the same way. There's a breakdown. There's no okay, look, skill-wise differently, but, it's the same thing. We're breaking it down. If you got to make weight, well, you got to make weight. We're running and we're preparing, whether it's a 3-round fight or a 12-round title fight. It don't matter.
Each one needs to still.
It doesn't matter. You have to understand. You can't cheat the process. You can't cheat the universe. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You got to be all in. So but you, young and up and coming as a trainer and a fighter in here, the kids got to be able to look up to you a little bit, I think. I mean, you've walked the walk, you've talked the talk.
Yeah.
You've had ups and downs in your career. You know what I mean? So let me ask you this. You've, as like every other fighter and every other coach in boxing, you've saw success not only as a business owner, as a coach, and, you've had a little changes. You went to North Carolina. It wasn't for you, however. You seem to keep reinventing yourself.
Yeah. I'm all about just growing constantly. whether it's at the gym, myself personally, family, whatever. So if I'm not growing and the people around me aren't leveling up, I try to transfer that to the ones that I'm working with too, because it helps me kind of be better too when I have like a constant vision in mind or a constant goal in mind. Those things are kind of what keep me moving, because if I'm just like on a standstill, then I'll start to kind of lose my...
How is your message to your students and your fighters? Are you able to maintain a composure of teaching, or are you, your style of teaching? What would you say that would be?
I think it's pretty raw. I don't baby these kids too much.
Yeah.
I mean, when needed, I'll tone it down or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I just kind of try to give it to all of them pretty straight.
What's the reaction when they first come in?
They usually love it. After the first class, like they just like the real to it, and I'm not treating them like kids. They're like young adults when they step in my place, and they'll be treated like that as long as it's mutual. And I think they really, because these kids are hanging out there, they'll spend the whole evenings there throughout the week. And I don't know. I think for people to do that, you got to really be into it in a way. And it feels like my girl came to the gym the other night and brought food because I wasn't getting home till like 8:30 or something. And when she came in, she was like, now this, because the gym was packed, the guys were working, the gym place smelled like crap because all the young bucks in there.
Like a regular boxing gym.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm glad I can't, because she don't usually come that much to the gym. And she was saying she was glad she came because it kind of was like a reminder of why we're doing this. And you could see like I don't know how to explain it, but like that kind of unit we are.
The diversification of a boxing gym, all right? And you know this because you've been in different gyms and you see it. You walk into that gym and you see that.
Everybody.
It's like a sacred place, right? Like, so you got to walk in. If you're an outsider walking in, you kind of maneuver your way through till you find that, okay. And then till you're accepted. But, look, in a boxing gym, you don't know who you're working with. There's kids, there's adults, there's business people, there's all different. There could be pros next to you. The one thing about a boxing gym is most gyms you go in, at least that I've been in, if you're, pretty humble and cool to everybody and not shooting your mouth off or anything like that, guys are going to help you. Mm-hmm. Coaches, you'll be training next to a pro, and I'll see a pro giving a kid advice. You can't do that in other sports. You don't go on the field in football and just start throwing the ball around during Sunday games, or you don't walk on the field for the Giants or the Jets, or go to Yankee Stadium and just start throwing the ball around and everybody. No, it don't happen like that.
Yeah.
Boxing gym's different, and that sense of, it's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
It is to see people at any level be able to, learn the sport, get something out of it, work hard, and it's a bug that catches you. Like you said, if you got people staying in your gym, it's the bug that catches you. This sport catches you. I've been doing it, and there are times I'm like, what the hell am I doing this shit for? But then there are days it's like, if I don't do it, I'd be lost. The gyms get quiet, and it's like, oh man, what the hell's going on? Then all of a sudden it starts to pick back up again, and then there's no time. You're right back into it. It's a cycle that just keeps going and going and going. And you know what? I've been blessed. I've met a lot of good people throughout the sport. And boxing people want to be helpful. They want to be helpful. They want to be helpful with your fighters. They want to be helpful with your kids down the road. It's something that I can't describe to people. They got to kind of just witness it.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about our spot too, is like the guys that have been there, when a new person comes in and they see I'm occupied, they'll like take the initiative, or some of the women too, like to like, oh, do it like this, or coach wants you to throw it like, turn over more, whatever. And they'll kind of give them the pointers and save me some trouble too at times when I'm like in the midst of doing everything.
Yeah, but that's a testament to you. You know, like, look, the one thing that us as coaches, we have to teach people to fish, is what I say. Excuse me. You have to pass your knowledge.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's just for you as you continue to grow. And I was very blessed. I had great mentors and great people in this sport that I learned from. And I took a little bit from this, and I took a little bit of that, and I took a little bit of this. But I watched, I watched how they coached, and I watched how they interacted with people. And like, for me, like now is like when I get somebody who wants to, like, here, okay, you need to, a young coach, like, and we have some good coaches over there and some guys that are young, and look, try it like this, see what happens.
Yeah.
Do it like this, see what happens. I try not to change them too much, but I try to make them think of what they're going to be when they're coaching that. Like, just point, okay, try it like this. What do you see? Oh, yeah, it looks good like that. Or maybe I'm looking at what they're doing and someone says, you know what are you doing that for, and why, or where? And I get them to talk and to think. I said, well, that's pretty good. I like that. I like the way it looks. I like that. And, just keep challenging people. Mm-hmm. Challenging, because our sport without younger guys like you is going to fade away.
It'll die down, yeah.
It's going to fade away.
I think it helps me too, because in a way you got to kind of like break stuff down differently for people.
Yeah.
Like I notice sometimes when I explain something like this might click with you. But some people I might need to tone it a different way or send the message a different way to kind of
because we're managing
better.
Personalities, Ryan. Okay, that's what people don't realize. And today, look, and I keep saying it, the younger generation's different. I come out of a generation, they played in sports, they yelled at you, they told you run through that wall, you ran through the wall, you didn't go to the coach, why do I got to, and you got very smart kids today, a lot smarter than some of the coaches and people involved, and they challenge you with a question. No, man, they're not just doing what you said. You got to break it down for them to understand a little bit, okay? And now with social media and everything else, right, they're doing their homework while you're coaching. So you're talking about you're getting links from a guy, right? Because you're getting these kids and adults that are just looking at boxing and saying, well, Ryan, why isn't Ryan teaching me this? Well, because you can't walk and chew gum yet, so that's why I'm not teaching you that. You know what I mean? There's a process to it.
Give it some time, yeah.
But getting back to this is like the next level of training and boxers coming through is the youth. Mm-hmm. Our generation, as somebody asked me what one of the first fights, I did an interview with somebody the other day, and they asked me, what was the first fight you watched? And the first fight I watched was Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier.
No.
In 1970.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and then, to watch both their careers and then evolve into, Sugar Ray Leonard, the Olympics, and on and on and on and on and on. I saw that whole generation of fighters,
Emotion,
and the training and everything else, and believed, and now it's like, what's the next generation of boxing? What is the next thing for boxing? And there's so much diversification out there now. You have influencers, you have MMA, you got bare knuckle.
That's the part that it like kind of like scares you a little bit too, because it's like I don't know what it's not about who's the best. It's about who sells the most. Even
all right, but think like
low
this.
level too.
Think like this, Ryan. Right, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. Right, I'm gonna put you on the spot here because you have a pro record now. You're a pro fighter. You took the next step, right?
Yeah.
If you had the choice to fight right now, right? Two promoters came to you, a boxing promoter and an influencer promoter, okay? Mm-hmm. The boxing promoter said, hey, Ryan, I got a 4-round fight for you. It's not going to pay too much. In fact, you might have to buy the fight.
Yeah.
Okay. But yet, guy came to you and said, hey, Ryan, we've seen your social media. You got a pretty good following. We have an influencer fight for you. But we're going to pay you, whatever, a couple grand, 10 grand, 5 grand. Which fight are you taking?
It Depending on how much they're offering, but probably the
All right, let's go.
influencer
I'm
if
going to
it's-
make
if
it
it's
real
plenty.
simple for you, okay? I'm going to make it real simple. You can fight as a pro fighter for nothing, and it's going to cost you money to get ready. Or you can fight on an influencer fight
And make some.
for $1,000. Let's put it that way. I'm going to make it real simple. Which fight are you taking?
I guess the influencer fight to get paid.
Okay? So you just answered the question as a coach and a trainer, right?
Yeah.
So I know guys that had no boxing experience that fought on influencer fights that made 50 and 60 grand in their first or second fight with no boxing experience
Yeah, it's crazy.
whatsoever. So the sport is definitely changing financially, right? Because we as fighters, and you know fighters out there, you've been in gyms, good fighters that haven't made a living in boxing.
Yeah, it's tough. I see guys.
If you
that-
weren't running a gym right now, you couldn't make a living on your pro career right now. Right now, today.
Yeah, I need a good
Right? If
paying
you went
job.
home and told your girl, say, "Hey, by the champ, I'm not training nobody anymore. I'm focusing on my pro career. We're gonna have to struggle." She'll look at you like, "What are you, fucking crazy? We ain't
Yeah.
struggling."
Be
you
on
know.
the street quick.
But we're gonna kind of finish it up here.
Yeah.
If you were gonna give somebody advice, right? To be a fighter, to be a coach, to be involved in boxing, what would that advice be?
My advice would be to do it. As long as you understand what comes with it and you have that love for it to where you can commit yourself full throttle and you got nothing holding you back, do it. Do it if it's something that you want to accomplish or you want to do for yourself, whatever, like I've been doing for myself. It's not for anybody else, it's for me, you know. Part of it was for being able to relay and be more valuable with teaching and whatnot, but at the end of the day, to continue to fight and each fight, you still have to have crazy love and motivation for it, because if not, then you just end up crumbling or folding, getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a sport you can be
Yeah,
half
you can't
in.
be half in, half out.
No. So if you're going to do it, just make sure this is, really for you and be prepared for whatever comes with it, whether it's the highs and the
That's
lows.
good advice. I mean, coming from you, you've reinvented yourself many times. You're moving in a good direction to put Diaz on the map in Westchester County in the tri-state area.
Yeah,
We look forward to an exciting 2025 to see what you do, not only personally as a fighter, but as growing your team over there. And obviously, we're always there to support you whatever way we can at Champs and in Danbury. And it was a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah,
I
man,
really,
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Why don't you give everybody a little information where they can find you on social media?
Yeah.
And, if you're in the Portchester area, give Ryan Diaz a chance over there. Check his gym out, Diaz Boxing. You will not be unsatisfied. Runs a great program over there, beautiful little gym. Great coach, great person. But give us all your information,
Yeah,
brother.
you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok for now at Diaz Boxing Club. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Or the website,
All right.
DiazBoxingClub.com.
So the other thing is Ryan will be fighting February 4th in Nashville, Tennessee on Adams Promotion.
That's right.
We look forward to seeing how everything goes from there. We'll be supporting you, rooting for you and everything else. Once again,
Appreciate that.
we appreciate everybody subscribing, liking, and comment on Coach's Corner. And until the next episode, train hard, train smart, and we'll see you in the next round.